Sup? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me we have some more RPG horror stories. The year.
Hello, what are you doing? Are you watching this idiot? Don't listen to this idiot. Listen to me. I am the idiot you should listen to. This Friday, December 29th at 6 p.m. EST, we're gonna be doing a first proper stream on Tales Tomorrow channel. See you this Friday. Back to that idiot over there. Bye-bye.
Let's get to some RPG horror stories for today. The time cops had to tase a missing player mid-session. So this happened years ago in college around 2023 to 2024 and isn't so much a horror story about the game. I was DMing at the time and we had 4 solid players, and then a couple of players that would show up now and then. With it being college, we had people that wanted to play but couldn't always show up. So it wasn't a big deal if a couple of players didn't show. We were playing downstairs in a commons area. One of our roommates was planning on showing, but he said he might be late. No biggie, so we start playing. About an hour in, our roommate shows up. He's very wet, like he showered with his clothes on, and he's very drunk and or high. He's screaming and yelling, flailing his arms around. We talk for a minute, try to figure out what he has taken, then mid-sentence, he just leaves, so we go back to playing. We don't know what to do at the time, and he tends to go on crazy benders, and we aren't going to snitch on him for getting a little too high or drunk. One of our other roommates shows up about half an hour later, and we tell him what's up. We lived in a suite, where it's 3 rooms of 2 with a living room area we share. So me and 5 roommates or suitmates. Then our messed up roomie comes back. He suddenly jumps on a table and starts pointing at us around the table. "I'll kill you! I'll kill you! I'll kill you! I'll kill you!" And he points at each player. Then he points at me. "I don't think I can kill you." I'm a scrawny dude and he's like twice my size, so yeah, I'd be screwed. He then starts yelling about how he's going to kill everyone, jumps off the table, runs off, eats crap trying to jump a couch, then grabs this big cushion chair and runs off with it. The other roommate says he'll follow him and find an RA, I'm assuming room or dorm administrator, something like that. We're not really sure what to do. So game on pause while some of the players go find someone who can help. Someone else in the comments told us they were going to find a phone and call security, which is a good idea at the time. Maybe 10 minutes later, he's back, and without clothes now, just ass naked, losing his crap in the commons of our building. Tries to pick up the couch he ate crap on earlier and just ends up flipping it. Then he goes around chucking all the furniture. The players leave, and me and the roomie that was trying to follow him keep well away, just so we know where he is going. Luckily right then, there's a lot of flashing lights outside. The cops have been called, and there's several cop cars, a fire truck, the whole ball of wax. And the commons outside wall is all windows, so he sees this and starts heading outside. So we follow. He goes out, just starts screaming at the cops about he's gonna kill everyone. They can't stop him, and a few unintelligible words. He's about 10 feet from the lead cop, and with no hesitation, the cop shoots him with a taser, and he drops hard. And they kept tasing him, and tasing him, and tasing him, until finally they get him in cuffs on a gurney and out of there. Did this by any chance happen in Florida? Because I could totally see like a Florida man runs around naked during a D&D game, gets tased by cops kind of thing. And afterwards, after rubbernecking and talking with other rubbernecks, we went back in and finished our session. Overall, a good game of D&D. We were on like session 3 of the Savage Tides module from 3.5. Hella good module. You get a ship, you travel the high seas, even the abyssal seas. Super cool. No clue what happened to him. Never came back from his stuff. No one ever contacted us about him. Nothing. End of the second semester and we pack our stuff and leave. No clue at all where he was or what happened. Asked some of the other people on the floor, and no one had been with him that night. We did have a roommate that we despised that was dealing drugs. He did not return for the second semester either, but that was because he kept dealing in his room after we told him to do it anywhere else, and we were sick of his crap, so he mysteriously got busted. But they hated each other. The crazy roommate had pissed on the dealer's bed after we told him to stop dealing from our dorm room, and he didn't listen, so they definitely weren't buddies. So we aren't sure if something happened there, but our D&D game went great, just as they always had. So not really sure if this counts as an RPG horror story. Lesson of the story? Meth is a hell of a drug. Maybe bath salts, I don't know. It's from, what's the year? 2003, 2004? Is that when they had the bath salts thing? I don't know. Must be meth or something. I have no idea. Anyway, let's get to the next story. Fireball enthusiast demands infinite spell slots. If anything, the story just proves that just because someone is a friend doesn't mean they'll make a good D&D player. Because a couple of months ago, a friend of mine wanted to play D&D with our group. And well, this experience honestly makes me question his intelligence. and I don't mean his D&D stat. We were all level 6 by this point, which worked out perfectly for him since Fireball was practically the only spell he knew from D&D, and he was obsessed with it. He rolled up a Goliath sorcerer, and of course he chose Fireball along with a bunch of other fire-based spells and cantrips. He said that this character was basically more like a firebender than a real sorcerer. This was a bit eyebrow-raising. I mean, it's possible to play a character like that, but it's gonna be hard for a new player to play such a specific anime-inspired spellcaster like that. Nevertheless, he rolled up his sorcerer and jumped right in. I don't know, I mean, if he just has fire spells, he just does fire things. That's basically all part of the roleplay it is. I like fire, I shoot fire, I control fire, grab spells that control flame, or raid bonfire, stuff like that. We were at the tail of a dungeon crawl when the sorcerer joined the party, made it to the dungeon boss fairly quickly, and from that point on, it would become readily apparent that sorcerer was one-trick pony. Every turn, he used Fireball. And when he could have easily done what he needed to do with cantrips or lower level spells without blasting the party, but at least he got the job done. This trend continued even after the boss battle with him using Fireball to break down doors, fight low level enemies, light candles and bonfires, to rob random campers we encountered, etc. To him, answer to any problem was Fireball. We even at several points would kindly remind him that he has limited spell slots and sorcery points, to which he would just say, I don't worry about stuff like that. I get Fireball is a cool spell to use, but you can Fireball everything. You don't need Fireball for a candle. Prestidigitation does the trick. You don't need Fireball for a door. Opening door with your hands is super easy. Fireball is not the answer for everything. It's a great tool, but like Uncle Ben said, great power comes with great responsibility. So using fireballs wisely and don't just spam fireball everywhere, especially if you're gonna be friendly firing your allies. At least be like an evocation wizard and just modify your spell so that it doesn't affect your allies. Simple as that. We fortunately were able to get a long rest in, but after the rest, he immediately found another group of random campers and cast fireball on them, killed them, and looted them. He then cast 2 fireballs on the scattered corpses to eliminate the evidence. We had jokingly nicknamed him the Fire Hobo, Fire plus Murder Hobo. We did warn him though that he may want to chill out a bit when we make it to the capital city, as we don't want to get attacked by city guards, assassins, citizen mobs, etc. Our party was already somewhat evil, or at least did evil things from time to time, so morals were less of a concern than survival. After that fiasco, we made it to the capital city to regroup with the prince, and somehow Sorcerer had used Fireball 3 more times before arriving, who then hired us for the mission. After we got a chance to meet him in secret and get our next mission, we went to a city market and couldn't afford much. It was a bougie city and we still didn't have that much money. The Fire Hobo was getting frustrated with the high prices until he saw a magic staff being sold that would enhance his firepower. Oh DM, why would you encourage the player to see the item? If they give the sorcerer that is obsessed with Fireball a chance to obtain a Fireball staff, no matter how expensive it is, do you think they're gonna save up money and try to really think about their spell choices and their actions until they save enough money to get it? No! They're gonna Fireball the stand and try to steal it and get away with things. I'm betting you right now, the sorcerer is just gonna straight up look at the clerk, be like, hello clerk, how much is that spell? Psych! Fireball! And just burn the whole thing alive, trying to get away and steal the staff. Calling it right now, I'm calling it. Calling it right now, we're having a staff theft going on. It cost more than our party had combined, which enraged him, so he threatened the shopkeeper. When he called for guards, our Fire Hobo started, you guessed it, casting Fireball. The next sequence would involve probably more fireballs than I have ever seen in D&D in my entire decade playing the game. Combined, he fireballed every shopping stall down, he fireballed the crowds of civilians, he fireballed the guard, he fireballed us by accident as we ran away. The whole city block was practically on fire by the time he was surrounded by city guardsmen who forced him into actual combat and knocked him out as the rest of the party just fled the city. The next session would see the party split with Fire Hobo to start our next mission, a magic item MacGuffin quest basically, as we pretty much wrote him off as dead man. Most of the session was devoted to the mission at hand, which seemed to annoy Sorcerer. DM eventually did get back to him. Sorcerer was trapped in a dungeon underneath the royal palace as a magistrate came up to his cell and explained the charges that he was facing, As the magistrate was explaining this, Sorcerer said, "I cast Fireball on that son of a bitch and blast my cell bars down." Never mind, maybe we will have a session where everything was solved with Fireball. I don't know, man. The DM is just letting the player get away with it. I get it, the DM wants to run a good game and they want to make sure that they run things leniently, but as a DM, you gotta make sure you don't become an enabler for this kind of thing. The one thing that can stop a Murderhobo is a good DM that says no, or comes up with some sort of a canon reason why you can't fireball inside of a prison. Maybe has anti-magic barrier somewhere. Simple as that. I don't know. Come up with stuff. You're the DM. You set up the game. You gotta decide this sort of things. DM then looked kind of surprised and asked, "You were just captured. How in the world do you have any spell slots or sorcerer points left? I didn't even know how you cast that many fireballs to begin with." He then said, "I'm a firebender, so I can cast fireball at will." DM laughed and said, "That's not how that works." He then tried to argue that because he never uses any non-fire spell or cantrip that he shouldn't be limited in his use of fireball and that it would ruin his character. The DM explained how OP it would be if a sorcerer was able to just cast fireballs at will with no limit. He then said, "Fine, I'll just take a long rest and wait for that unlucky magistrate to come back." Well, that's a time skip. Is this like a Wish.com version of the wizard from XP to level 3? Except instead of a wizard, it's a sorcerer. Just fireball. I think even I am accidentally emulating the voice of Wizard from XP to level 3's videos. Great videos, by the way, you should check him out. Anyway, sorry. Well, there's a time skip. So now the sorcerer was playing at the point where his trial was coming up, and the magistrate returned. He tried to handcuff the sorcerer before opening the bars, but sorcerer just started casting fireball again in an attempt to both kill the magistrate and destroy the bars. The bars bulged and the magistrate died, so a bunch of guards poured in as he kept casting fireball after fireball until the DM stopped him after realizing that he used like 5 more fireballs than he was allowed. Like I said, the DM wasn't paying attention and he became the enabler of the fire hobo. This is absurd. This is a ridiculous story. Like, you just should tell to the guy, "You can't cast that much. I'm not gonna let you cast fireball." He tried arguing again that he should have unlimited fireballs, and the DM was basically ripping the rug out from under him. DM just brushed him off again and told him not to sneak in extra fireballs. He then had a constable come, handcuff him, and take him directly to the guillotine with no trial since everyone just saw what he did. Sorcerer out of character was now livid and saying the DM is unfairly killing his character off, that he at least owed more fireballs to get out of the situation. He begs for just 15 more fireballs and then is basically crying as the DM won't budge. And he's negotiating and finally says, "Okay, 3 more fireballs. That's literally nothing. Please." But the DM just told him that he can't use fireball, but he has a bunch of cantrips or other means to try to get out of the situation, even if they don't end up working. Sorcerer then casts a firebolt on his jar of lantern oil and tries to chuck it at a crowd as a makeshift Molotov fireball in order to cause enough confusion to escape. He rolls a 4 after the DM asks for an acrobatic check, so he creates a slow-moving fire that easily puts out as he's taken to the guillotine, reads his charges, and executed. The player is then beside himself, throwing an actual temper tantrum and calling the DM Hitler and saying that D&D is BS and nerfs firebenders worse than the M. Night Shyamalan movie, and a whole bunch of other ramblings. The DM is not a Hitler for not letting you slaughter millions and do whatever you want. The DM just doesn't want a player that's obnoxious. I can't believe the DM even stuck around. If I was the DM and somebody just wanted to fireball everything, I'd just be like, "No, I'm not running this. You either stop casting fireball at everything or out. I'm not willing to run this because I don't want to run a game full of murder hobos. I'd rather have a story be played out, and if you are going to murder hobo, make it tasteful and make sense. Don't just murder for the sake of murder. Sometimes you have to put the foot down with really obnoxious players, and this guy trying to still negotiate for extra 15 more fireballs or 3 more fireballs. No. I'm glad you did what you did. I'm glad you stuck to your guns, DM. None of us really knew how to handle the situation until he stormed out of the house and slammed the door so hard the 2 dogs 2 blocks down started barking. We never saw him or spoke to him again. He blocked us all on everything. The campaign is still going strong though. We'll just kind of look back at the story and laugh in bewilderment. It was just so weird to see an actual grown man act like this. You can never be too old to throw a tantrum. Good on you for sticking to your guns, and the player removed themselves and even blocked, did such a beautiful thing to just pre-block you on social media so you never have to interact with them again. Good on the player. Wow, very considerate. Of all the considerate things a player could do is just remove themselves from the game and from your life in general. The D&D game's so bad, I quit to do homework instead. I'm a grad student with a full-time job, and you can imagine I'm a busy person, but I love D&D, and being able to play lets me get away from everything for a few hours and just have fun. I happened to find a one-shot game on Roll20 that fit my schedule, rolled up a cleric, and was looking forward to an adventure that was described as a classic save the town from monsters story. But I'm posting here so you can guess how that went. Here are the important players in the tale. Me, just wanna roll math rocks, man. DM, unfortunate guy trying to manage the upcoming mess. Paperboy, problem 1. Immature, problem 2. Monkey King, problem 3. Last minute, problem 4. Spoiler, one of these 4 will be kicked from the game before it even starts. I'm gonna make a prediction last minute. What is your prediction? So this game was a one-shot pitched by a paid DM. He was probably testing out a homebrew adventure and fishing for new clients. Whatever, I had a grad assignment due, but I could spare a few hours for some D&D. Anyway, we all chatting before the game, and the DM asks Paperboy why his Roll20 character sheet was still blank. Paperboy says he doesn't like digital sheets, so he printed it out and had it in front of him. The DM is incredulous and explains the DM being able to see player sheets is just how online D&D works. This seems pretty sus to me. Paperboy read the room and agreed to roll on Roll20, and the DM reluctantly agreed to let it slide. This is where my bad feelings about the game started, and they were reinforced minutes later when Immature posts a gif of the McDonald's mascot Grimace dancing and asked, "What do you guys think of this?" My thought was WTF, but neither I nor anyone else commented on it. Then the DM asked Immature to join the voice chat channel. However, he just said channel. Immature responded with YouTube channel? Let's got some is this guy an idiot chatter in the voice chat. The DM clarified and Immature said he wanted to only play using text. This led to general WTH in the voice channel, and the DM explained that one player on text and everyone else talking would kill the pace of the game. Immature said he was somewhere really noisy. At this point, the DM threw up his hands and asked the rest of us what we wanted to do. And the quick consensus was to just kick the guy so we could start playing. For some reason, DM had trouble kicking Immature, so I took it on myself to tell him he was getting kicked when he started going on about not being able to see the map. He said, "You guys stink," and then somehow started doodling on the map screen with the drawing tool. The DM was confused as to how that was possible because he hadn't kicked anyone in Roll20 before. Honestly, I think Immature was just a young minor who didn't want us to hear their voice because they'd likely kicked them for being a kid trying to play with adults. But that's just a guess. Eventually, Immature was fully kicked, but now we're short a player. Paperboy said he could probably get this friend to join, and he did. This was last minute joined the story. Naturally, he didn't really know how to use a Roll20 and was new to D&D in general, so we all had to walk him through it. I try to be patient with new people, but by the time last minute wizard was all done, we were 45 minutes past the start time. Okay, so Immature was kicked. My guess was incorrect, but 45 minutes? Good lord, dude, that's insane. Anyway, we eventually got into a game and we're in a tavern in a village where a bunch of locals had disappeared. Here's where Monkey King showed us that his Hadozi is shamelessly the Monkey King, as in the Chinese mythology character who recently got a Netflix movie. He quickly made his whole thing sprouting about being the greatest sage under heaven, and had asked for bananas be the first thing he said to anyone. Yes, children, a gag character. Oh my goodness, it's the Wukong, right? Is that Wukong? Is Wukong the Monkey King? Also, I didn't know they made a Netflix adaptation. Interesting. I may check it out. I was internally screaming at this point. Gag characters are never as funny as the people who play them think they are. Plus, they just assume everyone else thinks their character is as funny as they do. Clearly, Monkey King and I came to the table looking for different types of games. He wanted to goof around, and I wanted a standard D&D adventure. I decided to hope Monkey King would calm down as the adventure went. He did not. Everything was, "Hey, I'm a monkey!" But we did everything, get some information about the missing villagers. As we were about to head out, Last Minute announces that after all this time, he hadn't bothered to give his wizard equipment at all. The DM was not pleased that the party suddenly had to wait around for one guy to go shopping. I was on my last drop of patience, and my grad school homework was looking more and more fun by the second. And then we get to the last straw. Last Minute went off and tried to buy a magic staff from the local blacksmith. The DM didn't bother to hide his incredulity in the voice of the blacksmith as he explains to the wizard that you can't just buy magic staves at the same place you get horseshoes, because D&D isn't Skyrim. At that point, I was past my limit on stupid for one day. I cut in saying, "This is clearly isn't game for me, I'm out, have a good game." I then left the call and had to go for a walk to calm down. I was that aggravated. On the upside, I grabbed some coffee while I was out, came home, knocked out my assignment. I was actually happy when I was finished because I knew I'd spend my time more wisely than if I stayed in the game. So that's the story. We all heard no D&D is better than bad D&D. I'll offer a twist on that by saying homework is better than bad D&D because you're at least being productive when you do homework. Thanks for reading. And thanks for posting. And yes, the lesson here is no D&D is better than bad D&D. And I think the better lesson would be your time is better spent doing anything else in the world than to suffer through a game that is just not worth it. Remember that. And with that, that's going to be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.